This is the People's Daily Online Business Podcast, an inside look at business in China and beyond. I'm Zhenyu Li. The majority of media outlets claim that China's current economic model is running out of steam, and the nation should move away from the current investment-driven model to a new one that relies on domestic consumption. In our previous episode, I asked JP Morgan Managing Director Eric about whether consumption could really become a key driver of China's long-term economic growth. Eric's answer is yes. However, Doug Guthrie, Dean of the George Washington University School of Business, believes that in order to make the successful transition to a consumption-led economy, China has some challenges to overcome. Today, the discussion on China's consumption transition continues. Our special guest is Doug Guthrie. Again, he's the Dean and Professor of International Business at the George Washington University School of Business and a Western expert in China's economic reform. As you know, China is transforming from a development model that relies heavily on export to a new one that encourages domestic consumption, a trend some believe would create new opportunities for global business. So what is your vision on China's future as an emerging market and a consumer market?
So the first thing is that, as you point out, it's very clear that China knows, and the rest of the world knows, that China must make the transition from its current economic status to being a consumer-based economy. Now, one of the big problems for China is that in order to make the shift from an economy based on state-led infrastructure development to consumption-based development, you need to see a swing in the pendulum away from the drivers being investment to consumption. And so I think that process is already well underway. If you read the work of economist Dwight Perkins, Perkins thinks that this is probably still about 5 to 6 years away because China's per capita GDP is still around 6,000 to 7,000, and it's until a country gets to about 13,000, you can still make a lot of money for the economy by being a state-led investment-driven economy. The problem is when labor costs become too high, you have to really develop a consumption-based economy.
And here, Guthrie sees that Chinese savers pose a challenge for the country's transition to a consumption-driven economy.
Chinese people are actually culturally very good savers, right? So it's actually interesting because if you were an economist just trying to construct an economy, you'd want a smart economy. You would want people who think in healthy ways about saving and investment. And so Chinese people actually have maybe number 2 or number 3 savings rate in the world, which is great. But the problem is that means people hold on to their money. And so for economists who want to drive the consumption-based economy, or politicians, you need to see people starting to invest. Or just not invest, but starting to spend money. Now the truth is that Chinese people save money for very good reasons. They save it primarily for healthcare and for education. Healthcare, we have to see a big development in the healthcare industry. And education, we need to see that development too, and we need to start seeing Chinese people spend their money in China and not in places like the United States, Canada, or Britain. So I think that there's a lot of things that need to happen for the development of this consumer-based economy, but I think that China's position is still pretty healthy in this market.
For People's Daily Online, I'm Zhenyu Li. For additional quality coverage on China in audio, video, and text, visit People's Daily Online at people.cn. China means business.